Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a totally wild story. We're going to trace the dramatic, high-stakes collision of global geopolitics and literally the single biggest wealth creation event in human history. We're looking at a moment where dark, tense, global uncertainty suddenly flipped into this brilliant, euphoric financial history. Honestly, it's a crazy story of oil, international relations, rockets, and just unimaginable wealth. Let's get right into it. So, picture this. The global mood was incredibly heavy, super tense. Basically, everyone was on edge. It was early June 2026, and as the world watched tensions escalate between the United States and Iran, this massive dark cloud gathered over the entire global financial system. And the immediate reaction? Pure economic chaos. The Strait of Hormuz, which, is one of the world's absolute most critical oil routes, became the total epicenter of all this anxiety. Markets were terrified, oil prices were surging violently, and investors, they hit the panic button hard. There was this real, palpable, almost existential dread spreading across the markets. Capital was just rapidly fleeing into safe haven assets. Literally, no one wanted to take a risk. The big fear here was that a major disruption could just completely tip the already fragile global economy right into absolute chaos. Part 1. The brink of chaos. Fears of global conflict. Is another energy crisis coming? That terrifying question was dominating every single major publication out there. It wasn't just a hypothetical anymore, right? Investors were actively bracing for the absolute worst-case scenario. Uncertainty was literally at an all-time high. Part 2. The sudden shift. Hope for an agreement. But then, just as the tension seemed completely unbearable, it was like this massive release valve opened up. Washington and Tehran were suddenly moving closer to an agreement. Those dark fears of war were almost instantly replaced by the bright light of diplomatic hope. And the whole economic landscape, it just pivoted on a dime. The immediate effect of that pivot? Oil completely plummeted. As those fears of a supply disruption faded away, the intense pressure on energy prices just evaporated. Global confidence surged instantly. We're talking a massive shift from bleeding red to euphoric, bright green. Stock markets exploded upward in this historic rally, spanning all the way from India straight to Wall Street. Part 3, the perfect timing. Confidence returns. So this sudden rush of investor confidence actually created the ultimate launchpad. Enter SpaceX. You know them, the company that revolutionized rockets, built Starlink, and is out there actively chasing Mars. Well, they were arguably the most anticipated company on Earth, and they chose this exact euphoric moment of returning risk appetite to make their big move. They announced they were going public. I mean, just think about the sheer staggering scale of this debut. Driven by all that explosive market optimism we just talked about, SpaceX raised an astonishing $75 billion. Their valuation absolutely skyrocketed past $2 trillion, officially becoming the single largest IPO in human history. Just incredible. Part 4, the $1 trillion man. Musk's fortune surges. Now, this unprecedented IPO violently accelerated the fortune of the guy at the center of it all. As SpaceX shares surged, Elon Musk's net worth crossed a totally unthinkable threshold. $1 trillion. He became the very first trillionaire in human history. To really put that staggering number into perspective for a second, $1 million changes a life, right? $1 billion changes an industry. But $1 trillion, that literally rivals the GDP of entire nations. It's a history-altering figure, and it was achieved because he held a massive stake in Earth's most anticipated company, taking it public at the absolute perfect moment. Part 5, the bigger story, a wealth creation event. So while all the headlines were focused on the $1 trillion milestone, the underlying mechanics here reveal this ultimate butterfly effect. Think about it. Step 1, a diplomatic peace breakthrough. Step 2, that breakthrough totally crushes oil prices. Step 3, lower oil fuels a massive global stock market rally. And finally, Step 4, that specific wave of immense market confidence provides the exact fuel needed for SpaceX's historic IPO. It's just a flawless sequence of global cause and effect. It's honestly incredible to think about. One week, the world is completely consumed by dark fears of conflict and economic ruin, and then the very next week, markets are in full celebration mode, and human history records its first ever trillionaire. History so often changes when no one is looking, pivoting on a dime from absolute fear to total euphoria. So it leaves us with one final profound thought to take away from this explainer today. Now that the $1 trillion ceiling has actually been shattered, who do you think will be the next one to claim that historic financial milestone?